Hey, everybody, and welcome to Lost in the Groove. Today, we have an interview with Amina Lovell?
Amina.
I'm sorry, my apologies. Amina Lovell, who wrote this absolutely incredible book that we're going to go through today called Opal Island. I cannot wait for this experience. Without further ado, Amina, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Amina. I am originally from an island called Antigua. I have been living in the United States for about 17, 18 years now. Opal Island is very much about my own family experiences, a lot of things that I went through in childhood in terms of feeling kind of alone and abandoned, or just having very little to lean on when it comes to like your family dynamics, and very much finding like your own family. And just being completely different out of who your family is. I have a background in journalism and communication. I live in Los Angeles, and yeah, I think that about covers most of the bases. Yeah.
Well, I love that you bring up with family dynamic, because like one of the characters, which is Joanna, which is Tessa's mom, she tries to shield Tessa from her like her history, like her heritage and ancestry. And it's funny because like I had a similar experience like in my own family, because my dad was Moroccan, he was an immigrant, and our experience of our culture was like, okay, you're Moroccan, can you explain? No, just we drink tea, we do this, yeah, this is what we eat eat hot peppers, like this is our culture, yeah, we did, that's it, that's all you know.
Yeah. But there's no like unpacking of the family or how you came over here. And that is so incredibly prevalent and familiar in immigrant families, no matter what country or color you are. It's a lot of kind of, I don't want to say shameful or feeling like you have to hide yourself, but it very much feels like this is the past. You don't need to know anything about it. You don't need to dig too much into it. It's fine. We're here now, and that's what's important, but we don't know who we are unless we have a very clear understanding of where we come from. And Joanna does shelter her from that. Joanna shelters her from that specifically because she feels shame about, or kind of frustration with, their heritage of being werewolves and shapeshifters. So she's like, my daughter deserves better. I don't want her to be part of this. And I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but like that plays a major part in how, Tessa goes about figuring out who she is.
And it's really great because it tells. See, I'm one of those people that we live in an environment right now where a lot of people are woke, especially when you're dealing with industry, dealing with Hollywood, especially dealing with writers. There's a lot of very famous writers that have gone to these extreme levels. When you write a book like this that is talking about immigrant culture, because let's face it, you have, especially in Black culture, you have Caribbean culture, you have South American culture, like Honduras. I found out about this with the islands, I think Ratan, and you have all of these different like shapeshifters, werewolves, whatever you want to name the culture. But being able to embrace it, being able to pass it on from generation to generation, that's the important part of it, is to embody it and understand it. I don't know. That's just my understanding.
No, you're absolutely correct. I feel like I would say one of the biggest cultures that pass this on, are so proud of it, that I've seen outside of maybe African culture, is also Hispanic culture.
Yeah.
The way in which they cook their food, the way in which they talk to their relatives, the way in which they go about themselves in the world or present themselves, it's all very much passed down from their ancestry. Whereas other cultures, like in Black culture and specifically Caribbean culture, which is where I'm coming from, is certain parts of yourself you're not supposed to identify with or talk about. They just kind of happen. We don't drag them up, we don't discuss them, but we need to really be mindful of the whole 360 of who we are as people, good, bad, indifferent, everything about culture. And I feel like everyone will be able to relate to this book because we're all kind of immigrants. You know, even if you were born in this country, you have ancestry from somewhere else, you know. No matter what color you are, where you're coming from, we're all kind of the same. So I'm hoping that everyone can gather that from the book.
Kind of the idea with, I love, because this is a twist. The island split up into two groups, Parish 1 and Parish 2. And the language, and this is of course an important part, and I heard you talking about this, language was an important part of writing this book, and you could clearly see that. And the names, like,
absolutely.
I'm gonna say Ville. How do you say that? Vale?
Ville. So Ville is actually a take on Carnival. So Carnival is in every single Caribbean island, and most of the Caribbean islands celebrate Carnival as a way to say that they were what you call it, freed from slavery. So every island comes with different background and history, but obviously we're all enslaved by basically the same types of colonizers. So it's either a British colony, a Spanish colony, or a French colony.
Yeah.
And so so a lot of them have Carnival over the summer, like Trinidad just had theirs in spring for Lent, that kind of thing. And it's all in celebration of being freed from these colonizers. And so Ville in the book it's my take on that. And so when we see it in book 2, it's kind of the same bright costumes, you know, colorful music, a lot of
I don't
fun,
trust her, though.
But it's going to be...
I don't trust... I mean, because, like...
As you should not. Because she always brings violence. Something she always remember with Renee, who is the villain in the book for those listening. She always comes with a little twist of violence. Everything about her, her motivations is about getting what she wants, no matter what. No matter if she has to kill for it, no matter if she has to lie, rob, cheat, steal for it, she will get what she wants. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what Ville will be Carnival, but with a little bit of violence. So I'm very excited to like explain that and explore that in book 2. I think you guys are gonna really love it.
It's kind of cool because you're one of those type of writers that doesn't hold back. Because, you know, I know those writers that like they write about violence and they're like, oh, he pricked his finger on the... I don't want to hear you prick the finger on the glass. I want to hear what happened, okay?
No, absolutely. I'll take you blow by blow. Absolutely.
And it's really great because like this added mix of language, self-expression, you know, in a way, violence, just, you know, the dynamic and mentality of family. It's just so... It's so interesting because you said this before. Like anybody could apply this to their life. Like, I mean, this is a book for anyone. I mean, anybody in the, you know, that could understand an idea of coming from a dynamic, coming from a family. I mean, hello, most people come from families, whether
of course, yes,
broken or good or whatever the case may be. But like, it's strange. It's strange to realize how complicated family is.
Yes. And the lasting impact it can have on us and how we see ourselves and how we then create family and create our own like friendship dynamics. And, you know, it from the very beginning, those the relationships that kind of mold us and that's what we use to navigate the rest of the world. So a lot of like my childhood is in there. For instance, there's this game in there called netball. Netball is only played in the Caribbean islands, Australia, and like South Africa and England. It's not like very prevalent in the United States. But when I put it in the book, I wanted to not only educate, but also kind of bring some Easter eggs to my childhood that people could also identify with, because I haven't seen a lot of Caribbean focused writers or books that really talk about specific things in our, you know, how our culture is run. You know, we also have basketball, we have tennis, we have golf, we have, you know, other sports that are played.
This book, you could you could definitely tell that it was done in the Caribbean, and it was written by somebody that understands the Caribbean. I mean, the way that you describe the buildings, the way that they're driving up to certain places, the way it's like you understand on how an island landscape is designed.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and there's also really great illustrations in the book. What's the name of the? Let me see. What's the name of
Her name is Kai. Her name is Kai. Yes, she is part of the publishing team that I found in LA. Just a quick little backstory on how we met. So at first, this was an ebook. I've been writing this series for like 5 years, and the ebook I brought out in 2021 when I first moved to LA, and I was just literally sending it out to friends and family, like, please read it. Obviously, maybe my parents read it, and that's about it. I wasn't getting any traction, so I created these little QR code stickers with some of the illustrations at the time, with a little QR code on it, so you can scan it, it just goes straight to the book. I put them around LA. I walked up and down. I went to different bookstores, especially Black-owned bookstores. One of them was like, oh yeah, sure, you can put it up here. But if you're looking to be published, there's actually an independent publisher here that I think would love this story. You should reach out to them. I reached out to them. They loved it. Here we go. Kai is one of those publishers. Just, one of those things that you just meet the right person at the right time and it all just kind of makes sense.
She did
definitely how.
She? Yeah. Is it she?
Yeah, she. Yep. Okay. She goes by she. Yes.
Absolutely. She did a really great job with the illustrations. Like I kept on going back to the family tree. Like those were the pages. Like I kept on going back to the family tree, and I kept on going back to the island. And by the way, anybody that reads the book, you'll understand what I'm talking about. You'll read a page like, okay, let me go back. Let me check, and then I go back there like, okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We wanted to bring that, we wanted to make you feel like you're immersed into the world, like you're right there. In addition to the book and the illustrations, we also have a playlist on their website. Like we want to give like a full immersive experience because it's so very visual and loud, from, it being based on an island. I'm so happy with what she did and how she brought my visions to life. Like I'm very, very happy.
It's really awesome when you have like artists coming together and collaborating. And making like, I heard you like when Amina has this really incredible clip that kind of goes through the creation of how this book was made on your Instagram page. I think you have it pinned, right? You have it pinned on the.
I do. Yep, sure do. On the top, right?
It's a great clip. You should definitely check it out, and it really kind of explains like. Especially now, we are at a time where creation, being expressive, being unique, is being threatened by this insanity, this absolute insanity. And for you to be able to create something that we've talked about this before, it's really great for people that are dyslexic, can read, but have a hard time. It's really great for kids that are coming from whatever, Black homes, Hispanic homes, Asian homes, or whatever the case may be. Kids that really want to be able to like say, hey, I'm not alone. There's somebody I can relate to.
Absolutely. They feel like, I mean, I know I felt, especially when I was 13, 14, 15, very like Black sheep. Who do I fit in with? I don't feel like I want to do the same things that my family is pushing me towards. I'm into different types of things. Like, for instance, I'm a huge tattoo fan, love tattoos. None of my family are into tattoos. That's a very like mild example. But when you're like struggling with identity, especially as a woman, you want to be able to find places and communities that you can lean on. So I'm hoping that women of all colors, races, all of it can read this and feel like seen in these pages. Like, I remember going through this, or I am going through this. And as you go through the book, we see how she comes into her own, you find your own type of magic, even if it isn't what you think it should be, because your parents or your family is something completely different.
Right. Because the thing, for example, for me, because I'm gay and being a part of the community is where I've had to make my own chosen family. I love my family. I talk with my brother. I moved out here in Florida because of my mom. But we have to create that environment because the thing is, our parents are going to do what's best for us through their own eyes. Our siblings are going to do their best through their own eyes as well. That's how blood family works.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. They have everything with the lens. And because they've known you since your birth, it's very hard for them sometimes to wrap their head around a new concept of who you are, or seeing you as another person outside of their own expectations, projections, kind of whatever mold, they think that you were going to be when you were born. So, and again, I feel the same. I love my family. They're very supportive. They came to the launch that I had here in LA last weekend. It went great.
That's wonderful.
I know, no, they are very supportive. I don't want to come off like they don't support me at all. I'm very grateful for them, but it still doesn't take away from, what I have felt or what I went through. Those things were very real, and I don't blame them for what happened. Yeah, I don't blame them for what happened. I don't have any resentment towards them, but I do need to speak my truth of feeling different, feeling unsure of myself, and not being able to go to my parents and be like, well, who am I outside of your identity? I had to figure that out for myself.
Yeah, I had to do that for myself. And I was going to ask you this because when I was able, I mean, for you, your own experience, when you become an adult and you create your own self-identity, because the thing is, especially people now that are in their teens, okay, we're talking about 16, 17. I've met people that are in their teens. I'm in my early 20s, but there's a different environment now where they're not kids. They want to actually do things. They actually want to be able to make things, be a part of things, and really being able to tell them, look, try to be able to see a different perspective. Try to understand that you get to choose your life when the time is ready. You got to do what you got to do when the time is right. And it's a very crucial lesson you got to learn at a young age, which I don't know. I feel like maybe for my generation, for me personally, I didn't have, but I feel people now do, Yeah.
Yeah. No, they have this. Oh my God. Okay. So it's the blessing and a curse, right? Because growing up, I did not, I'm in my early 30s. And growing up, I did not have the kind of access to information and other people and this global touch that every teenager has right now. A teenager in the States can be best friends with someone in Malaysia if they wanted to. Right. It's very easy to create that connection off of something like Naruto or, and I'm bringing up an old school anime, but my point is something that you really love and experience that maybe someone in the States won't get, someone in another world will, or another part of the world will, and you can connect with them so easily. Whereas when I was growing up, all I had was the people directly in front of me. I did not have a cell phone until I was 15 years old. So it was very difficult for me outside of my little community on the island to make or know of other places and things. So right now there's just so much connection, but it's also a curse in my mind because you have so much information. You have so much being thrown at you as a teenager. How do you determine what is and isn't for you? How do you create that level of discernment when you're so young? So I don't know, having a teenager right now would just scare the shit out of me, to be completely honest with you, because it's just so much work that you have to do to make sure that they're not being manipulated or taken advantage of because of the all the complete
because the thing is my generation and your generation, we are the last. I am literally the group of people that are born from 96 all the way to 2000 or 2001. We're the last generation of people remember the days of early internet. I remember the days of early internet. We had dial-up in our house. I remember when we had wireless. We got wireless internet where in our area, I believe it was 2007 or 2008. I remember when they put it up on the poles, the giant white boxes.
Yeah.
And it's to emphasize your point, times have changed so much. Kids have so much so much information in front of them. How do you want them to be? I mean, do you want them to be worker bees? You want them to go to college and be in debt until they're 68? What exactly are we doing over here?
I know. I mean,
do we want to be parish 1 or do we want to be parish 2?
Oh no! Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one because that's exactly where that comes from. Where it's a more parish 1, a more slow down, primitive, very much more so like how I grew up, where they were just getting like cell phones and landlines. Parish 2, way ahead in technology, has all this really different ways of communicating and being, and they have made contact with the mainland, which a lot of Caribbean islands, they export from the United States or from other major first world countries. So that is that representative of parish 2. So absolutely, that can also be a metaphor for children today and how they're kind of split between parents who might want them to have a more traditional or like slow down upbringing, and those who are like, no, we're progressive, we want them to have access to everything and be the most and best at everything. But at the end of the day, I think we should all kind of strive to be the barrier. That's like the balance of the whole island, and it's magical and beautiful, and was like, you'll get the creation story, but that for sure is like the defining point of both sides. Is there's this like in between that if they could find a way to like harness it and gather it, they both would be good.
Yeah, because we in a way appreciate technology because I didn't have this when I was a kid. This did not exist. Okay, the way that we were able to get movies was you had to physically go to a store.
Yeah.
So
same.
Like the amount that we have at our fingertips right now is insane. And like that's the thing about especially you as a writer. You're able to take that, your experience, and be able to put that into words to be able to like, I'm not saying we're trying to control the teenagers, but try to give them an understanding of you got something really incredible at your fingertips. Don't waste it. Use it to your advantage.
Absolutely. And I have faith in this new generation. They seem to be so much more active and vocal than, I'm a millennial, than we really were. I feel like they take stands and are ready to really protest in the streets if need be. But I just worry that they're going to kind of get, it's so easy to lose yourself in all of this and to just get swept up in like a hashtag or a moment or a movement of the time and not really understand that you have so much more life to live. Like this one little corner of your life is a blip compared to the many decades you have in front of you. So the decisions you're making today are definitely going to impact who you are and how you're seen later on. So like, as you said, don't waste it. Use it to your advantage, but don't get just caught up in the moment for, I don't know, likes, clout, whatever is, I guess, the most valuable currency now. In terms of being online and your presence. I feel like, not wasting it is definitely the takeaway from that sentence. Like, don't waste what you have in front of you. Because we have all this stuff now, like Chat GPT.
Oh my God,
that's
crazy.
AI. I know. All this new AI.
Do you want to hear? You want to hear a funny story?
Sure.
I can redo this as well because I have it on my phone. I once asked it. I was like, "What's your thoughts on Lost in the Groove?" And I remember it gave me like a response of like Bill Withers or I don't know, some bananas thing of like groove and how it was put into a song. And it's like, okay, I'm picturing it to be like that high of words. But I was just like, it did that in seconds.
Yeah.
Did that in seconds.
Yep. Exactly. Crazy. And so imagine being a teenager having to write a book report. South Park just did an excellent episode on this. Being like in middle school, having to do, it's really good. You're in middle school, you have to do a book report, but you don't want to actually do it. Go into Chat GPT, type in just type in the prompts. Please don't do this if you're listening in school. But it'll give you your essay, and there you go. Like, you have AI to just think for you, but that will just make us so much more lenient, like dependent upon AI and leaning constantly on them, or it, I should say.
So you know what? I was just thinking, like, okay, we mentioned Chat GPT. I think maybe a positive approach would be something like this. Okay, if I'm wrong, you could tell me. So if you're somebody that has learning disabilities, read the first chapter of the book. Then go on ChatGPT and then ask it about the first chapter of that book. Take that response, read it, and then write your your thesis or whatever. Just write whatever on that chapter and just write it down. And just do this with each chapter. And then you able to create like this really great report.
Yep.
I don't know. I think maybe
that's no, you make a great point, because that's using it more like Google. It's like a tool, it's like something that you can use for prompts or to give you a way to, better word your own essay. But I feel like a lot of people would just take the lazy route. Why bother going back to write something else when I can have it write the whole thing for me?
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes really dangerous,
I know. I guess we'll find
because
out.
You're not forming any thoughts.
I guess we'll find out in book 2.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it will not be written by ChatGPT. I can guarantee you that.
It's not that advanced.
I have such a love for artists of all genres. And so I can't imagine AI coming in and, taking over people's jobs that way, or like completely taking over the market of art, any art. To me, that is such a disservice to people who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into things that they really, really want to create. So I really hope it's just used in the best ways. But this is the thing about any type of AI. It has great benefits, and then people use it for evil. Like any other technology that we've ever had, like, oh, here's some cameras so people don't steal shit from you. But also I can now hack these cameras and watch you. Now it's a surveillance tool and not just a way to catch thieves. It is always a double-sided technology. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
It is. And the thing is, just like you can never rid the world of pure evil, and you always need to be able to have a balance, and you need to be able to people need to realize that the thing that makes us human is compassion. True. And you can have compassion with the internet. You don't have to be an asshole. I will sometimes, there are times that I will post some things on Facebook because you're giving out like false things to people. I'm like, listen, bro, okay, hold the brakes. Okay, first, number one, he wasn't alive yet. Number two, it's just like being able to, like we said earlier, it's like being able to utilize the tool.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Understanding absolutely. That they're understanding their setbacks, but also understanding that you could choose. I guess that's the point. You want to be a dipshit or you don't want to be a dipshit.
Yeah. How do you want to engage with it? Do you want to use it as a tool? Do you want to use it for evil? It really depends on who it's in front of and how you utilize it. Because obviously being able to jump into a search engine and come up with this amazing imagery and artistry that they have is very cool. But to me, that's a slippery slope. Because what about character design artists? What about people who do this for a living? You're going to make their jobs obsolete if you can just type in some stuff off Pinterest, like use some prompts, and then it gives you this amazing collage of pictures.
Well, there was the same. Well, there's the same idea around. There was the same idea around like digital art, because digital art used the enhancement of computers, and even in the early days, like. But I actually I've been using digital art since 2020, and it's not the same, but it's a different representation of art. But it's still art. You're still the one that's holding the wand. You're the one that's doing the magic. And that's a part of history that we were terrified about. I remember people were just like, oh my God, people are going to sell their souls to this. And now, there are people being idiots and making stupid monkeys and selling them for $1 million for NFTs. But there is another side to it. Again, just like there are pros and cons. Again, it's just complex. It's just the more that you delve into human culture and society, it's just
Yep. I mean, it's sticky. It's sticky. It's
Very
so
sticky.
much. But as you as you said, the thing that separates us from the AI is the compassion and the understanding. Like I can tell AI to maybe come up with a concept, but if I try to explain to it why I want something or what needs to be tweaked or changed or how it's gonna live in the media, like if you're doing an animation and you want it to look or sound or feel a certain way, I can't tell that to an AI. Only a human being will understand the kind of emotions I'm trying to put on someone's face
Right.
through illustrated character. Only a human understand the writing I'm trying to come up with to draw out some of the human emotions from other people. So we still have the power as human beings because we have consciousness. Whereas, as you said, we still kind of wave the tool. I have to type things into the AI to be able to make it come true. So I still have ownership and power a little. I just think, as we've been saying, slippery slope, slippery slope. It
Yeah.
just all depends on
Do
who's
you
it's in front of.
do you mind if I read a little bit out of your book?
Sure, sure, go
Okay.
for it.
So this is a page number the chapter starts at 38. It's Contessa. So it's the view of Tessa currently. And then we move to page 43. I don't know. I just saw this and I was just in love. So present day. Tessa hears the roar of the complex as she gets out of the car. Crowds of people are lined outside, waiting to see who becomes the parish netball high school champion. Whistle goes off. A loud moan from the crowd pierces the ear. What kind of call was that? Someone screams over the crowd. Tessa hesitates a little, keeping one foot firmly planted in the vehicle. Okay, you come on. Hey, I cannot do that. God,
True. No, yeah, you're right. Because you get that anticipation that she's feeling. She's like nervous and anxious. Just to set it up for the reader, she was supposed to be the captain of the netball team. She did not make it, but she's going to the championship anyway because her
well, she
best
had a
friend's
little.
there.
There was a little tea with Margaret. It's Margaret.
Yes. Yep.
Fucking bitch. Sorry.
It's okay. No, she's actually based off someone that I had that kind of relationship with in high school. But I always felt like no matter what I did, she always had like some kind of rebuttal or problem or
Hate those
issue.
people. I
It was
hate
like
those
this.
people. I'm sorry. I
I
can't.
know.
I
No,
have a few in my life.
there's
Anything
literally
you
we all
do,
do.
anything you do,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's like
Yeah.
you could please them, you could say you're sorry. You're like, what could I do
Yep.
better? And it's like
Yep.
they don't care. They just
Nothing.
want to hate you. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's just how it is. Like certain people will just dislike you for no reason. I don't know if you triggered them in whatever way, they pour their insecurities onto you, whatever the case, but that
I
was very
just
much the same
wish
dynamic.
I wish Tessa didn't quit. Like I wish that
I know.
I know. I wish she would have just been like, you know what? Fine. Like because she was a really good player. Like she really was good at it and the team was
Yeah.
really doing well. I mean, they won either way, but like
No, I understand. And that's really because she quit as a reflection to show where she was mentally in terms of feeling like if I can't win, I'm just going to isolate myself. And that's very much how I grew up. Like I went through several places or different like communities. I was like in Girl Scouts. I was on a tennis team. I was on a netball team. I was on a
whoa.
dance team.
Oh my
A lot of
God.
those things I did quit because I felt like I'm not getting better at this, emotionally immature. I don't see myself in this. That was definitely Girl Scouts. I did not like it. I didn't like the group think. I didn't like, no disrespect to the Girl Scouts, no disrespect to them at
I
all.
love the cookies.
I just,
Girls keep on bringing the cookies.
I know. Love the
Love the
cookies. And
cookies.
they're called Girl Guides in the Caribbean, but I digress.
Girl
It just
guides.
wasn't for me. Girl Guides.
Oh,
Yep.
I like that.
It was not for me, and I quit eventually. So that's how I brought that out in the book. I showed how at that age, she's 16. Sometimes when you don't have the kind of support around you from your family to kind of push and motivate you, you just end up leaving and quitting things because it's not for you and you feel like this is too hard, I don't want to do it. And good parents would be like, no, you made a commitment, you said you're going to do it, you need to stick into it. But at the time both my parents worked. I was kind of left to my own devices when I was 16, So I quit a lot of the things that I started, and I just wanted to bring that out in the book. I felt like that was very relatable to people who isolate as kind of a defense mechanism. I'm not good at this. This is too hard. I don't like this. I'm going to just run away. I'm just going to cut and run.
Yeah,
a lot of people do that.
Yeah, that's me. This is, by the way, believe it or not, this podcast is the only thing that I've committed to, and I continue to do it. And it's like hilarious because everything else I'm like, I almost finish and then I just quit. It's just I had similar experience. I think seriously because like my dad was sometimes he didn't come home until late at night.
Yeah.
And it was just my mom, sometimes, or like it's strange to be 16. Can we say that? It's strange to be 16. It's just
very strange. You're in such a weird place because it's like that Britney Spears song, "Not Yet a Girl, not yet a woman."
Shout out to Britney.
I know.
Love Britney.
I'm not a girl, not yet a woman. That's the correct phrasing. And so you feel all these emotions. You are trying to figure out who you are. You're about to become you're a young adult about to enter into being a full-grown legal adult because you're almost 21. In the Caribbean, you're actually a legal adult at 16. So you can give consent, all that stuff at 16.
And drinking.
And so, yep, exactly. And so you're just at this very weird space in your life, and you're just really trying to figure out your identity and how you want to show up. So I think the quitting thing is very relatable to a lot of people that age, or even if you're in your early 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. If you have the kind of a personality that when something gets difficult or tough, you run, I see you, I understand you. And just know that it's not always going to be that way. As you get older, you change and you learn. If you want to. I know that sometimes in relationships I was like that as well. It's getting too difficult, it's getting too hard. I don't want this confrontation. I'm just going to leave.
Right.
I think a lot of people will understand that. Yeah,
like for example, the dynamic between Edmund and Joanna. I mean, oh my god, Edmund, somebody needs to whoop his ass, okay?
I know.
Somebody needs to whoop his ass. What the hell is he thinking? Like he comes off as being like so caring to Tessa and like a good father and like with wisdom, and then bruh.
I know. It's he's really in it. Like Edmund's motivations are always purely narcissistic. He does care about his family. He does care about Tessa. He does want the best for them. But at the end of the day, he sees himself as the pack leader. He's alpha now. He's also the head of the country. So, or at least parish 1. So for him, it's now about forgetting his family and more so what's best for my parish, what's best for my pack. How am I going to be a leader? And he's living so deeply in his father's shadow because his father is the one that like got them all to escape, got them on the side of the island. He was the first leader of Opal Island, of that parish.
Right.
So he's feeling very much like, how do I step into these shoes? And then they're also broke. That side of the island has no money because they don't have the kind of technology and resources that parish 2 does. So now he's like, well, because I'm a wolf and I'm bigger and badder than her, I'll just take what I want and forget her and forget my family. Essentially, I'm gonna do what I want, like not involving Joanna in the biggest decision of the parish. That was something that I saw a lot with my parents. Like my father was kind of making the decisions.
Same.
With kind of being all about him, and my mom was having to kind of go along for the ride, you know what I mean? And that speaks, of course, a lot of our mothers kind of being martyrs and just kind of playing their role as the dutiful wife. So that I tried to bring that out as much as possible in Joanna's character.
Because you know who Joanna in many ways reminds me of? She reminds me in many ways like have you seen Breakfast at Tiffany's?
I have.
Okay. She reminds me of a Holly Golightly character. Kind of living in this perception of like she's on the top, she's happy, she's doing well. But at the same time, it's like, honey, smell the roses.
Yeah.
Like she really needs to really like understand her environment. Like you cannot control your kid, and your hubby is like not giving you the respect that you deserve.
Not at all. Yeah, he's really just going about things his own way, doing his own thing, not giving a damn. Yeah. Yeah, no, and I feel like a lot of wives can understand that, like how do you show up as yourself in your relationship and be a good wife without completely betraying your own interests? Especially if your husband is all about doing things for himself and not considering you or your feelings. How do you still be a good wife?
Right. How do you be able to see yourself as a strong person if you're constantly being told what to do?
Yeah.
I like I grew up in blue collar environment, and I don't like when a man controls a woman. I'm not trying to be like feminist right now. It just bothers the fucking shit out of me. It's like,
yeah.
So you're controlling her because, excuse me, she has a tits and vagina. So because she has those body parts, that's the reason why you could. It's like such bullshit. If you're in a relationship with somebody, there's equal partnership between both people, whether girl, boy, 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 girl, girl, whether trans or non-binary, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But you need to have that level. If you don't have trust in the relationship, okay, yeah. How are you in a relationship then? Like, it then asks that question. No.
Absolutely, it does. And why do you feel like, and that's just all misogynistic bullshit. You think that I need controlling or something. You think that I'm not capable of being a partner to you. You think that you're better than me because you're a man. Like, where does that control aspect come from? What is it about me being a woman that makes you feel so inclined to dictate to me, to control me in any way, or to feel like you possess me in any way? I never understood that. But it always boils down to misogyny, capitalism, and colonialism. That's what I've realized. Like, most huge, big bucket issues always have a thread in one of those.
Right. It's because of colonialism that you see, the problem is not capitalism. See, capitalism in many ways has a lot of great structures on how to be able to keep businesses afloat and be able to create a really great economy. The problem is you have colonialism that's mixed into there. You have supremacy mixed in there.
Racism
mixed in there. You have all of these other things that now we are in a period that thankfully Jim Crow is no longer a major threat anymore. Thankfully, we're no longer in the threat of Asian, especially Pacific Asian Americans that were. I don't even want to go through this, but the point is, we need to be able to like kind of come to this realization of like where we're at. Like, you gotta be able to balance yourself. I mean, so like, ask yourself the question of like, where are you yourself at right now? Because if you can't ask yourself that question, then like, it's a problem.
No, it always starts from within. It always starts from within. Unless you can answer those questions from yourself as to why you are the way you are and why you want what you want, then you're always going to be looking outside yourself for those answers, and they're not going to be pretty, and they're not going to have you in mind. They're going to have whatever is best for whoever you're asking for is in mind. So if you're asking the world to tell you who you are, it'll tell you some bullshit. It's going to be through some nonsensical lens. So I don't know. I'm not under the mission of trying to change people, because I feel like that is a lost cause. People can only change themselves. So the most I can do is show up as who I am, write stuff like this to help people identify some of the things that maybe trigger them or show them a different way of thinking about things. And also just, let them be seen. I don't want to come off as someone who's like better than anyone, because I'm definitely not. But one of my favorite characters was Renee to write, because I'm not that like crazy and manipulative and violent. But I know that there are parts of me that are in there, like every other human being. Mm-hmm. So being able to like put those into that,
it's your subconscious. It turns out, because I've done some research on this, I've had some people come on before. we don't realize this, but our subconscious is evil.
Yeah.
Okay, it's evil. It's a dictator in our brains. It is. It's
It's
really.
I I'll say it's intense
It
because I've done
is.
a little research on the subconscious as well. It's very intense and it's very like our shadow, our dark side, our things that we don't want to actually think about that we would be capable of.
Doing.
But
Yeah.
in extreme situations, and if pushed to the limit, those parts of ourselves can come up. They
Yes.
absolutely can. Again, it all depends on how you deal with them. But writing Renee was so therapeutic for me because some of the anger and just resentment, or just all of the harsh, intense feelings that I feel, I was able to like channel into her, which is one of the reasons why the book starts with violence. I wanted people to know from the very beginning, this is not going to be like a happy little go lucky story. People are going to get hurt. Things are going to happen. Really big emotions are going to be felt. And we have to just be okay with that,
Yeah.
just like in real life.
Yeah, like literally the first chapter is Renee. Like that is the first chapter
Yeah.
of the book.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Because we're starting off with a punch like, oh wow, yeah, things are about to get dark. And that's the kind of theme that I went about think when creating this was elegant and pretty, like Parish One and the Dusabes, but also dark and creepy and a little gothic, which is the Kwadios and like their background and their history. And of course, we can't forget Nanzi. He's based on the spider Anansi, who was a spider god out of West African and Caribbean folklore. And I put my little twist on him to be a shapeshifter, meaning that his form right now is a spider, but it could change because he's the first shapeshifter on Opal Island. So what is his
What is he
story?
actually?
What
Well, we
comes
don't
about
know.
from him?
We don't know what he looks like as a person. We only know him as a
No, as a
spider.
spider. Correct. And
Ah.
again, you'll have to wait to book 2 to figure that out. But the whole reason that I did this in a trilogy was because I wanted to set up the characters perfectly. I wanted everybody to get to know them, to really fall in love with them, and to want to see what happens next. So I'm really hoping to like drum up enough support to be able to bring out book 2 in an even bigger, better fashion.
This is why also like I brought you on, and again, kind of my big thing is I really like to create an artist circle, bringing on different artists and being able to promote, because like I was able to enjoy this.
Yeah,
it was like, and I love authors. There are different types of artists. There's musicians and painters, but authors are another level. It's another level of creativity because to be able to create a story, and of course there's images in here, which is really, really, really helpful. But to create a story where you understand the emotions, like how you did this book, it's visual view from the person. So you read a chapter, it's the view from Tessa, and then you have the view of Renee. So you're never like confused. Oh, okay. I'm viewing this from this angle. All right, and you're moving around as you go.
Yeah.
That's a really great way of sorry. It's a really great flow. Okay. It's a really great flow. Like it really like gets you like, oh, okay, and then like you want to learn like what the next one is, and then it's like, oh, it's Edmund.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I think I did that intentionally. I like that because everyone's point of view is different. That's the whole point. Everyone's going to see a different angle to one event, like the induction ceremony. We had Joanna's point of view, where she's kind of crowded around all these women who are looking at her, and we all know what that is, like the aunties and the moms eating, and we all know that they're going to ask you questions about things, especially when a big bomb has just dropped. I won't spoil it for anyone, but like they drop a big bomb at the induction ceremony, and so everybody's like gathered around, all the women are gathered around, and everyone's looking at Joanna like, so what's going on here? We all have felt the uncomfortableness of, I don't know how to answer these questions. I don't have this information. I have to just like lie very quickly, or I need to get out of this. We've all, I'm sure, gone through that. Then we see Edmund's perspective of, I'm going to be so great and this is part of my legacy, and I'm going to save the island, and I'm going to be the savior, and everything's going to be great. And then you have Contessa, who is just like, I'm just going to get through the night. Today's actually my birthday, and I don't even know if anyone's going to remember. I have this huge event coming up. All I have right here is my best friend, and who's this weird chick?
Chelsea.
Like, oh, Chelsea is actually based off of two of my closest friends, and that's because, and I think a lot of teenagers will relate on this. Your close friend group is like your family when you're a teenager. Your closest friends are the people who you feel like really understand you, really get you. And if you're blessed enough to have at least one or two really close, good friends, you don't know how like blessed you are in life, or like how grateful you should be, because it's so hard to find genuine, authentic people in the world.
Yeah.
So finding them as a teenager is just so important.
It is being able to have a social group that's able to understand you. I wasn't, fortunately, I wasn't able to have this. I didn't really have a really great social group, but I do now. And I will say that it's nice because, like, I'll be honest, I love my family, but sometimes I need a break.
Of course.
I need a break.
We all do.
A little too much.
We all do. That's what healthy boundaries look like, you know? I mean, and some people don't even relate to their family outside of, we have the same last name, or you know, we all grew up in the same household. And as we've seen, I saw this on Twitter trending a while ago, that you can live in the same household as somebody and have a completely different upbringing or childhood experience. You can talk to two siblings who grew up in the same household, and one will be like, I grew up in Vietnam. This is like the Vietnam War for me. I hated it in there. It was a brutal struggle every day. Or I had an amazing childhood. It was amazing. Everyone was supportive. You just like, you can have two completely perspectives, which comes back to the perspective of the book, of why it's so many different characters and you see everybody's different point of view, because you're seeing everything through people's eyes, and it's always completely different.
This one character I don't think we've mentioned.
Ooh, who's that?
7.
Ah, 7. Okay, so 7 is, and it's so funny because I actually have that number on my wrist as a tattoo, because it's such an important number to me spiritually, and 7 represents that completely in the books for me,
especially in Judaism, like
also. Exactly. In a lot of cultures, 7 is a huge
number,
spiritual, divine number. He is that for everyone in the book. He is like the conscious. You know, he's like the Jiminy Cricket, if you want to know one of Pinocchio.
He just pops in. It's like just like random moments. Exactly. He's like, oh, there's 7. Okay, cool.
Exactly. And he'll come in with that deep-seated wisdom and understanding. And he's been entrusted with the Mbali. And with that, he knows like the entire history of their culture and people. And because of that, I feel like he takes on a very big responsibility, takes it very seriously, and he's always there for that spiritual guidance. So I needed that in the book because there's so much about like ancestry and background and heritage and like, you know, shape-shifting and magic. We needed that like spiritual anchor so that he is kind of the one that doesn't get shook by shit. You know, he's still very surprised of what's going on with Tessa because he's never seen it before, but he's such an anchor for her too. And he's also a huge ally for her and the family.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said before, like it's just a character that pops in, but like when he pops in, it's like, okay. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's okay. Yeah. 7 is here. All right. Because like in the book, that's how it's like, okay, 7's on his way. He'll be here soon. Like, and it's true. Like you need to be able to have like that referee. And I think like, maybe I'm wrong. The way that I like can represent 7 in my life, would be like my cat. In many ways, my cat is like my 7 because like, she's the one that gives me that wisdom, that comfort, you know, like there's ways of taking each of these characters and representing the different parts of your life. You don't have to do this. Me and my weed brain, this is what I do, but it's a good way. It's a good way of being able to understand it's a really complex story.
Yes. And it is complex on purpose. I tried to take some very big themes and put them together to help people, or like, I guess, find people that identify with the similar things that I went through or felt. And, you know, they're pretty common themes in terms of, again, isolation as a form of like a defense mechanism when you're younger, leaning on your very small social friend group for support, figuring out yourself outside of your family, like your own coming of age story. I feel like we've all gone through it in some ways. So I really just hope that everybody enjoys it and sees parts of themselves in the book. I cannot wait to bring out book 2. We're hoping for like a late summer, early fall release.
You gotta let me know, honey, because
you know I will.
We should, because like I'll tell you right now, we definitely should do a part 2, because like I feel that this is great. It's really great to unpack this book, you know, like for people that are listening here to like get an idea of like we are made by stories. Our whole idea of history is stories. And it's just a reminder of like stories have meanings. Learn things from stories. What we can learn from them is going to be different from each person, but what you can take from it, that's special.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I feel like stories are long lasting. You know, we can talk about this year, next year, the year after. The story will live on much past me. And I really hope that it just finds the right people and they identify and see it and love it and just, you know, find solace that it's all going to be okay. Your coming of age story will be just as important and special as Tessa's.
So what is the so what's like moving forward? I mean, you mentioning book 2, but I mean, with this series now coming out, like, what are you looking forward to with this? Like, do you want to like?
So,
yeah,
I actually have an event on April 1st in New York, in Brooklyn. It's going to be similar to an event that I just had here in LA, where we can come out, talk about the themes, talk about the background. I'll be signing copies. So if you're in Brooklyn on April 1st, please come out. The flyer is on my website and on my Instagram page. That's Amina Lovell everywhere: Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. Just my first and last name. You can find me. That's what I'm most looking forward to right now. And also just kind of engaging with readers and people. I'm actively working on building my fan base and just finding people who would love this and that would love to talk about this, because it's my baby. I've been working on it for a while. And so I'm just so happy to finally share it with the world.
I'm really happy that you did. And I'm really happy that you were able to share more about this. It's really great because it's like, you know, an in-depth of Opal Island. And I cannot wait. Part 2. Oh my God. But anyway, anybody that's listening to this, if you want to pick up Opal Island, I know it's on Barnes and Nobles, right? Is it on Amazon? Got it on Amazon?
It sure is. It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's on IndieBound. It's on Bookshop. It's on Book Live. You can find all the links on my link tree on my Instagram. Once again, that's at Amina Lovell, my first and last name. And again, come like, follow, share, DM, talk to me. I'm very accessible. Would love to hear your feedback. And yeah.
Love it. I love it. So definitely check out Amina's work. I'm absolutely just blown away by all of this. If you love the show, be sure to give a like, a follow. You can find us at Lost in the Groove Pod. We are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Yes, we are here to bombard you with our content. Trust me, there's plenty of clickbait. But anyway, we love you all. We'll catch you on the next episode. Bye, everybody.